G'day folks. Thought I'd do a little video this week to talk about, a number of things going on in church at the moment, and also respond to a couple of questions off the back of that finance email I sent out last week. So heaps going on at church at the moment. I hope you're enjoying summer as we've, moved into the Coffs Harbour High School and been doing our summer Sundays. It's been good, hasn't it, been able to share a meal after church each week and welcome so many new faces and do this particular teaching series. Big shout out to everyone involved in putting on the food after church and all the setup and pack down involved. It's been massive. And we've got one last Sunday, this coming Sunday, where we're going to have burgers after church. And we're also going to do something special this Sunday after the 5 p.m. service. We're going to do some baptisms at church. It'll be our first time attempting to do it this way. We've got a baptism tank we're going to fill up outside. And so far we've got Dane and we've got Abby getting baptized and potentially a few others as well. And so after church, we're going to go outside, get wet and wild, and then eat some burgers together. So just so you know that's happening and you can be there or pray for it. We've also got youth kicking off this Friday night. So, be praying for the youth of Anchor and their friends that they're bringing along, that we'd be able to keep growing the gospel in that age group on the Coffs Coast. We've got our foundations class coming up in a few weeks' time, Tuesday the 24th of February. And many of you know what Foundations course is all about. If you don't, it's a chance to look at the foundations of the Christian faith and put aside a couple of nights to kind of dig in, rebuild your foundations, or set them for the first time. Do you know someone who that would be helpful for? Do you want to bring them? Do you want to come along? At the moment, it's set for the Tuesday night, but there's a possibility we could do it on a Monday night also. So we're sussing out a few things there. You'll find out this Sunday. We'll confirm the location and the date this Sunday, but maybe Foundations will be helpful for you. What am I looking at on my list over there? Wasn't it good to see Mel, from Poland again this Sunday, and hear about how all her plans are back on track to head back to Poland as a missionary with the mission agency ECM, which is European Christian Mission. And she's got a great church to partner with and just dig right into kids and youth and uni ministry. She just wants to do it all. And isn't she just an energetic fireball for Jesus? It's encouraging, isn't it, when you see people who say that what's happened for them in their heart as they treasure Jesus is they just want to launch out and do all they can to serve him. And so let's partner with Mel as best we can. As we're attempting to partner with the Galeas in Malta, let's get behind Mel with prayer and finances. The way you can do that is there's a link in this email where you can email Mel directly and just ask her to be on the prayer email list that she's got. Or you can go to the ECM website that features Mel and you can subscribe to her email there. There's lots of boxes to tick. You can do it that way if you like. Either way, let's be praying for Mel, get that information, and financially supporting Melody as she goes. Again, you can do that directly through the ECM website, or you can give to Mel through the Anchor Church, just normal ministry bank account that we've got. You just need to tag the giving, Melody Poland, and at the end of each month, we'll pass on any money that comes in for Melody onto her, like we do for the Galeas. Anything that comes in tagged for Galeas Malta gets passed on each month to our missionaries that we're attempting to support. And I say attempting because I think we could grow in our ability to be more prayerful and more contributing in partnering with our crew. So let's do that as best we're able. Now, speaking about finances, let me address a good question that's come in off the back of the email I sent out during the week. And hopefully you've got that email and had a read through it. It talks about how we're situated with, the property account and a decision to attempt to purchase a property soon. But then also how we're going with our ministry account, which is, how we attempt to pay for the running costs of church life. Maybe you've seen this image before. Here's our ministry account. Operations, that's the running of church life. We give to that, and then each month that thing gets drained to just pay for the running of church. And over here we've got our property account, which is our savings account, saving up a deposit to purchase something one day, or actually soon. We're hoping to make our first property purchase. The question that's come in is, when we consider the challenges that we're having in paying for our ministry ongoingly, and if you read that email, you'll know the state. Should we be purchasing a property if we're struggling to pay for ministry? Great question. It's the right question to ask. The simple answer is, as the admin team have considered that question and others in leadership, is yeah, we think we can still do both. And here's why. The purchasing of property, we ought to be able to do that now at a very, kind of low risk way. We've now got $335,000 as a deposit. You add a loan to that, and we should be able to manage the mortgage repayments on a $600,000 loan at pretty low risk. And here's how. 2 reasons we should be able to manage the mortgage repayments. Number one, we've got indications of about each month of about $2,500 that's coming into the property account. It would be great if that was more around the $3,000 a month coming in, because that goes pretty close to paying mortgage repayments each month. But in addition to what's going on there, is we intend to purchase a property that we can rent out easily, at least for the first few years. So we ought to have rental income coming in addition to what's going in monthly to the property account. That ought to mean we can manage having a property relatively risk-free and even pay it off, pay it down as quickly as we can. So many of us give, and as we give, you give to the ministry account, the running of church, and you give to property, which is very helpful. And I want to encourage everyone to consider doing that if you're able. Give to the running of church and give towards our future needs for property, and you can split it up any way you want. The big challenge in 2026 is the reality that all our outside funding that we got a bit of in the first few years has now dried up. And so now we need to run church according to what we can pay for. Back in 2025, we anticipated a deficit budget of about $60,000 to continue the ministry while still stretching to pay for more of it. But we ended up with a deficit of about $90,000 last year. That's because we didn't grow our ministry giving like we hoped to. We hoped to grow by 15% last year, but we only ended up growing by 7% in our finances. We grew by about 20% in numbers of people in church, but a lot of the people we're growing by are very new Christians or people fresh back in church after many years away. And so, there's usually a bit of a lag or a delay in them being able to contribute, which is understandable. So really what we need to do in 2026 is we actually really do need to grow by at least 15% in our ministry giving, so that we can actually get towards the place where we can now start paying for the running costs of church life. We can't keep eating into our what we call ministry savings separate from property. Our ministry savings, we ate into it $90,000 last year. This year, I think we're planning to eat into it around $40,000 or $50,000, and then there's no more to eat into. Really, the rest of what will be just emergency funding there. So this is the year for us to do everything we can to raise what's being given to our ministry account. What we'll need to do at midway towards the end of this year is probably make some hard decisions according to how we're going with the ministry budget. And that will apply to, the amount of staffing we can handle and pay for at Anchor Church, which will affect the amount of ministry we do. And the last thing we want to do is scale back the ministry we're attempting to do. So let's prayerfully do all that we can to stretch and give to the ministry budget. So please, would you consider your giving to both property and ministry, but particularly to ministry this year in 2026. If we can grow by 15%, that would actually help us go into 2027 with confidence that we can maintain the level of ministry we're attempting at the moment. We need to do more, don't we? There's so much need for gospel growth on the Coffs Coast. And so we need to, give ourselves to it and resource it as best we can. So please be prayerful in that regard. Any more questions about finances, please just reach out. Happy to answer them directly. And we trust God as we head into 2026. It's His church. He's the one who enlarges our hearts to be able to resource it, and we trust Him as we move forward. Praise God. All right, that's encouraging. I'll see you this Sunday, final summer Sundays, burgers after church, baptisms after 5 p.m, and AGM coming up mid-March, where we talk more about finances and look at the details there. All right, God bless.